Hello to everybody who's present here. A very, very, very good afternoon to everyone who has attended the Global Travel Meet by Travelk. I am Chaitrali Ghodke, aka Globedigger. I am also a travel blogger, and I am on the panel with four really esteemed. I am honored to be on the panel with four esteemed travel bloggers: Divyakshi Gupta from the Quickywanderer, Vidur Pandit, who is the other half of a couple travel blogger, Travelmynation. We have Diksha Sharma. She is a lifestyle blogger. And we have Preethi, who is also a travel blogger. She's from Peppy Travel Girl. I'm sure most of you already know them and are big fans. But I'm just going to let them introduce themselves a little bit. Divyakshi, let's start with you.
Okay, so hello guys. Hello again. I had a workshop in the morning. For those who don't know, I am Divyakshi Gupta. I am a travel blogger and a social media consultant. I love offbeat storytelling and India travel. Really, really passionate about exploring India. So that's about me. Yeah. Looking forward.
Vidur, you're up next.
Thank you so much, Chaitrali. My name is Vidur, and me, along with my wife, Archana, run Travelmynation. Unfortunately, she's not keeping well, so she could not join, but big hi from her to everybody who's here. Along with Travelmynation, we've also founded a touring company called Moto, Overlanders, and we are really looking forward to interacting with everybody on this session. Thank you.
Lovely. Let's go, Diksha. Diksha, I'm afraid we can't hear you. I think you're on mute. Not really. I think, am I the only one who can't hear her?
No, I can't hear her.
No, I can't hear her. Yeah. Maybe you can, join in again, drop off and join in.
Yeah. In the meantime, Preethi, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'll go. Hey guys, I'm Preethi. I'm a travel blogger at Peppy Travel Girl. That's how my journey started. I'm also a vlogger for TLC India, and now I have a podcast called Travels, Tales and Takes with Preethi. So in one line, I just say that I'm a content creator, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm looking forward to having a really fun conversation today.
Awesome. So Diksha, I can see that you're on mute, and Vidur, I think even you're on mute. Let's wait for a second. No. Diksha still can't hear you. Okay. So I'm sure everybody actually knows Diksha. She is a lifestyle blogger. She has, herself. She's got an amazing blog on Instagram. And while we wait for her, why don't we get started with how this session is going to go about? This session is basically session number 8 from the Global Travel Meet by Travelk, and this is the session where we're going to talk about sort of like life during the pandemic, a blogger's perspective. This session is going to be divided into 3 segments, where we first talk about content creation, how pandemic, how staying at home for so long, for almost about 4 or 5 months now, content creation processes have been changed and how we've been affected, and our whole process has been affected. Next, we'll move on into business and collaborations. We will talk about brand collaboration behaviors, and then we will move on to real talk mental health, because I feel like at this point it is so important to talk about how.
My laptop loud.
Lovely, Diksha, we can hear you now.
We can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. Although we can't see you.
The question is, can she hear us?
Yeah, that is the real question.
I'll just drop in a message. One sec. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Chaitrali. You were talking about the...
Unfortunately, Disha has left the stage. We will wait for her before starting the questions. Hi, Diksha. We can hear you. I hope you can hear us.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you can hear you.
Yep.
We can hear you.
I can hear you.
Perfect. Now, all we need to do is try to see you. All right. So, like I said, we'll again wait for Diksha. Like I said, this session is going to be about how since the coronavirus pandemic took over, how things have changed. Like I myself have faced a lot of changes in my whole content creation process. I've been trying to cope up mentally with how the whole pressure of constantly shooting out content on the internet. I'm sure everybody has faced that pressure. So let's start with you, Divyakshi. What do you feel about this whole, the way this affected you as a content creator?
See, honestly, Chaitrali, when the lockdown had just like been announced, and we were like thrown from actually having plans to having like canceling all the plans. I had this bucket list that I made, okay, and I floated it on the internet also. Oh, things you can do in lockdown, and this and that, and be productive. And after a month, I was like, "Hey, this is not working. This is not working." Because we had to, like, reality struck me, and it was like, you know what? This requires a completely different life. This is a different life. This is something where from being completely dependent on house helps to being house help yourself. I mean, we have a life beyond content creation, and that life came to the fore. So for me, honestly, all those lists went out of the window, and then came this thing of the first thing was, I think, just the sheer shock, then dismissal, and then it was like, okay, acceptance, and then just learning to live with it. And I think it's a roller coaster journey that we all have gone through. And for me also, it was no less. I've had my highs and lows. There have been days when I have been absolutely not feeling like doing anything when it comes to content creation, and I've taken those breaks. And there are days when I've been like, okay, just forget it. Let's just push out positive content. Let's make people feel better and blah and blah. So yes, there have been highs and lows.
Absolutely. It's been a roller coaster emotionally. What about you, Vidur? Tell us about some plans that you had for 2020 and how they were chopped down like it was a butcher's shop.
Everything that Divyakshi said, I think all the travel bloggers have similar plans. We did too. We had a list of events, trips planned for the year. Unfortunately, they didn't pan out. In fact, we were about to leave for some place in March, and that's when the pandemic hit, and our plans were washed away. We also were supposed to launch our company, which is our touring company, Moto Overlanders, in March, and we were supposed to do our first tour in June. So that got put on hold. So I mean, that's why they say that if you make plans, man proposes, God disposes, that kind of thing. But from a content creation perspective, personally, it's been a boon, because this is the first time in years that we've got a break, and all the assignments that we've been putting off, now we finally had the time to focus on those. So for us, we've always been Instagram heavy, not so much on the blog and the Facebook perspective, but now and for me, there's an advantage that there's two of us, Archana and me. So now Archana's kind of taking over the Instagram, and I'm taking over the blog. So we finally have time to focus on all the different platforms.
Yes, couple bloggers, I would say, are truly lucky that there are two of them, and
in a sense, but we do fight a lot. We do have our own differences, but if people have seen our live videos, we fight in every video. But I mean, that's the fun of it, right?
Lovely. So Diksha, trust you're here.
Hi. Yes, can you hear me all right now?
Yes.
Hi. I am so sorry. So I missed the question, but let me just introduce myself. Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Diksha Sharma. I'm based in Bangalore. I'm an engineer by profession and a marketer with the Fortune 500 company by profession. And I also happen to be a lifestyle, travel, and fashion blogger, which is the reason why I'm here today. And I'm really excited to be joining my panelists for this discussion. So, yay.
Lovely. Hi, Diksha. So we were just having a light banter about how our travel plans have been chopped, and just like a general talk about how life has changed. But now, what I have planned for this session, like I said, there's going to be 3 segments. So let's start with the first one. Yeah. All right. So content creation. Also, one super important thing that I had to point out to all our attendees is that, first of all, thanks a lot for attending this session. And secondly, we will be taking questions after each segment is over. Preferably relevant questions. For example, first segment is going to be a content creation segment. So if anybody has any doubts about that, we will be taking about 2 to 3 questions after every segment. So feel free to shoot out your questions to your favorite travel bloggers right here. They're going to be waiting to answer all your questions. All right. So let's start with the first segment, that is content creation. Changes that you've noticed in your content creation process. Now, obviously, like I already mentioned, your whole content output process has been changed right from ideation to putting out, the timings, the timing where the people are active, most of the day that is actually. But yeah, let's talk about a little bit of the changes that you have observed in your content creation process, right from ideation to delivery. What's the new normal like for content creation? Let's start with you, Preethi.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest changes that kind of happened when the whole pandemic began was people started consuming content online a lot. Like everything that was going out there was being consumed. So content became very fast moving. Like you literally had to be thinking on the go all the time and try to understand, what does your audience want now? Because suddenly it's changed. While we used to create travel content, which was a pretty standard operating procedure for a lot of us, all of a sudden it's more about, how can I rehash my old content? Do people want to see parts of my life? How do I portray that in a way that is still aligned with the niche that I'm in? So it was almost as if, we had to wipe our slates clean and come back to scratch, at least in my case, and try to see how best I could work, while being at home. So in my case, like although I was largely heavy on Instagram and my blog, and my videos are largely for TLC, so thankfully I had a little bit of backlog for the videos that had to go out, so that went as is. But what suddenly just went out of the window is my Instagram, because it wasn't fresh anymore, and how much of fast content can you really produce? So we had to really start thinking out of the box, like different kinds of content, medium, different channels. And I think that's how, my podcast was also born, because I kind of moved from just visual to video to audio. So that was a massive shift, but there was a little, I don't know, inertia for people to move, but it's actually picked up pretty well. Yeah.
That's great. What about you, Divyakshi? Because now that I see your content, you still, you're still, I don't know if you're recycling or you're actually going to these places. Of course not. But the photos are so beautifully, curated. They are so beautifully presented. I really want to know how you are using that same travel content and still keeping your engagements up.
So as much as I would have liked whatever you're saying is true and I was really traveling, I'm definitely not traveling. So all the content that you see is a result of the lazy traveler syndrome, the lazy content creator syndrome, where I traveled a lot. Like, for example, I had some 4 trips in December, okay? And I could post only, about 1 or 2 trips. I had not done justice to the trips at all. So, like Vidur rightly said, I think the positive side, the silver lining to this entire situation is that we're actually getting time to, first of all, sit and assemble all our past content. Secondly, it's also a great time to experiment. Because it's like everybody is going through the same kind of emotions. So it's not like at least I've become less judgmental and more experimentative. I would never sing for a travel video. I have done that. So that is definitely something which is the positive side. So it was also a very good time for me to, like Preethi started the podcasts. So it's a very good time for us to actually try out something new. So I revived my Quickywanderer favorite series. So I said, okay, I'm in the lockdown. All I need for the series is, a couple of past clips and a good script, which I can write any which ways. So while being indoors, so why not do this? So I started that, and then of course, so that is basically what I am doing on my channels, rehashing old content, adding a lot of personal stories, which I would never do otherwise. who's the person behind Quickywanderer, because this is the time I feel that we can actually experiment. All of us
Yes,
can. Yeah.
absolutely. More than experiment is a very good time to experiment and fail also. To start up to recycle, to go on, keep the wagon moving. So
Right.
yes, definitely. Good thought on that, Divyakshi. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Have you, pertaining to our previous discussion, have you noticed a shift in the kind of content that your target audience or your current audience that you garnered for so long has been enjoying? Is there sort of like a difference? I would start this question with Diksha, since you have an audience that is on a wider niche. So what do you think? What kind of content is your audience enjoying more?
I think I would like to join this question from the previous answers, as Preethi and Divyakshi mentioned that we've been recycling our own content, we've been rehashing our own travel pictures. So that's what I've been doing too. When you travel, you have so much to show to the world, but you travel back to back, and you end up showing only a fraction of what you've actually been doing on the trip, and you're actually not doing justice to your audience. So now is the time to actually show your trips the way you've actually done it, and it's a great way to for the audience also to see the pictures and the blogs with a fresher perspective, to create new to-do lists and to visit lists for themselves for when the world will be a better place, to travel.
Absolutely.
This was in context of travel, but otherwise also I feel like I really enjoy creating fitness videos and fitness stories. I've now started also creating home recipe videos and stories, which I think my audience is taking to very nicely. So I'm
Really.
too troubled about not being able to post a lot of fresh travel content, because I'm doing a lot of lifestyle, and I know that our wardrobes are just a decorative piece at home right now. All our makeup and all our clothes are just sitting back in the closet. They're
Yeah.
not coming to use anytime soon. So I'm really, taking this time to promote slow and sustainable fashion. I'm doing wardrobe sales, and I'm doing, a lot of fitness and health related stories. And I think my audience is really enjoying that. So
That's
yeah.
lovely. That's lovely. What about you, Vidur? Have you been experimenting with new kind of content recently? Because I know you are, since you're a travel blogger, I know our content is like really like specific just to travel, and our audience depends on that kind of travel. For you and Archana, you have a lot of rider travelers in your target audience as
Right.
well, and I'm sure they all feel pretty arrested too. I mean, I can only imagine. But yeah, what do you feel like? How are you coping up with not being able to provide that kind of content anymore?
So I'll give a little background. I think pre-COVID, the trend was to push content that we were creating, and all of us create a certain niche of travel content, right? And whatever we did, we were pushing it out through our social media channels. Post-COVID, what Archana and I have realized is that we feel that there is an opportunity for us to understand what is the kind of content that people would like to see, right? And although we are not able to generate that kind of content right now, it gives us an opportunity to understand what our audience wants and be prepared for that kind of content when we are able to step out and travel. That being said, at the moment, we were not very big on live videos because our niche is traveling to offbeat locations, and you generally don't have good connectivity. But right now, we've seen that a lot of people want us to come live and interact live with us, because when you post a story or a picture or a video, it's not really a live interaction. When they post a comment to you, it's not happening on real time. But on a live video, it's happening on a real time basis. And I think that's what people are really lapping up, because they enjoy that kind of content. So Archana and I we have our own series. We do a Friday live every week, and we've tried. In fact, we did a session with Chaitrali as well. So we are experimenting new kinds of content to see what works, what doesn't. And so far, what we realized on Instagram is that people really want us to be in front of them live, and that's what we are continuing to do. On the other hand, we've seen huge amount of traction through our blogs. Unfortunately, because we travel so much, Posting a picture on Instagram is fairly easy. Writing a blog is not. It's a whole different skill, whole different process. Everybody understands that, and you cannot generate blogs with the same output as a Instagram post or a Facebook post. But now that we have the time, Archana is sitting and doing that, we've seen that a lot of people want to read these blogs because that gives them a wider aspect of how we travel, the kind of experiences that we have, and what they can learn from those experiences. So for us, blogs and live videos have really upped our game, and we are really enjoying creating that content.
That's lovely, Vidur. I think that was so insightful for all the bloggers over here. Because right now, this time is so confusing on what kind of content we should create, what kind of a platform we should, concentrate on. Should it be a blog? Should it be Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok? Abhi to TikTok ko to, wouldn't want to say anything about that. But still, I mean, Reels has come to Instagram. Should I focus over here? It could be really pressurizing. So you having said that, you've noticed a traction in your blogs can be really helpful to a lot of bloggers, I'm sure. Now that my third question was also loitering somewhere around the same topic, but most of the answers have already been given. Although I would like to know from Preethi. Now I know, Preethi, you've started your podcasts, your talks, tales, and what is the third one again?
Travels, tales, and takes.
Travels, tales, and takes. So that's pep travels, pep takes, and pep tales.
Yeah, something like that.
That's amazing. So because I know I was there for the live that you were launching it, and you were really excited. And I know the first one was with Sharanya, if I'm not wrong.
The first one was a story, actually. The first interview was with Sharanya.
Yes, Sharanya, the first interview was with Sharanya. So, Preethi, I would like to know from you now, podcasts have gained traction and popularity through the Indian, communication sphere only since the lockdown started, but it was not popular before. What would you say? Do you think you've been able to gain traction to your podcast, or did you really have to work towards making it, market it, and tell people, like this is something that can be enjoyed, something that you can sort of, give your time to? Did you have to mold it in a certain way, or was it like quite smooth for you to sort of, gain traction? Or I know it's doing well. I want to know how you were able to sort of make it do well.
Right. So to be very honest, I was never much of a podcast listener myself. I just didn't understand the allure of it when I could just plug in and listen to music instead. Why should I listen to people talk? But somehow during the lockdown, I got exhausted with just kind of looking at photographs and watching videos and just working with a screen in front of me all day long. And I gave it a shot and I got hooked. I was literally hooked on the podcast. And what was very sporadic earlier, it actually picked up really quickly for me. And now it's like constantly playing. There's a podcast playing at every point, whenever. So what I've kind of understood is that the Indian audience is not completely adapted to podcasts either. Like at least after launching my own podcast, I've kind of understood this a little more because it's still a very niche kind of a medium in India, not as popular as it is abroad. And while creators who are making podcasts are early adopters, it's still kind of a distance. It's still a far cry to say that, people are going to just start listening to this because it's fresh. It's very, very new still in India. But those who listen are loyalists. So it's kind of a defined profile over there. I feel like in the case of my podcast, I did have to market it. That's why I had a live to announce it because it's a brand new medium that I wanted people to know of. And I wanted people to kind of tune in to something that is literally so brilliant. Like there are so many conversations, so many stories, so many insights out there that we're missing out on that doesn't necessarily come out on a visual medium or a visual platform. So, my podcast has been picking up and I feel like the medium also will start growing even more now. Of course, I'm not going to compare it with an Instagram or a YouTube, which has very, very different metrics. The kind of listens on a podcast are also very, very different. But it's growing and I think that's something that makes me very happy because while I've launched this during the lockdown, there are so many that have already been doing so well. And there is a treasure trove of content in the podcast space. So I would actually encourage people to go and tune in to a few more. I'm so excited about this even now, as much as I was the day I started. So I'll keep marketing it and I'll keep hoping that it gets better and better.
Lovely to hear that your podcasts are doing so well, Preethi. And I think from the discussion that we've had so far, I think it's safe to say that currently with the amount of volume and the amount of attention that has been given to social media, to entertainment industry, basically, just as a lifestyle, as a travel blogger, having to put out content there in order for people to consume. I think it's important that at this point, especially, we target a particular community, like you said, Preethi. The podcast listeners are a community. They're a type of people, and they are super loyal listeners. Even in case of Vidur, you are targeting. If you said your blogs are doing so well, that means there's a certain amount of people that are committed and are loyal just to your blogs, and certain amount of people might not be committed. Certain amount of people might be, directed towards something else. So I think selecting something on a very channelized medium can really help out right now as bloggers. So that was our content creation segment. Let's take a few questions. Okay, we have quite a few. So the first one is from Anand Vikram Tripathi, who's a software engineer. To Diksha, what is content creation at the core? Is it tool-oriented or about creativity?
I would think it is a blend of both, because you need creativity to be able to create good content, fresh content every time, but then you need to know the technical knows and present it well. So there's no point of extremely creative but not knowing how to, express it to the world. So I think it's both.
We have a fun question. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Okay. We have a fun question here by Anshuman, who is asking question to everyone, where would you all have been had the pandemic not hit? That's insult to injury, but okay, let's take it.
Should I answer? Should I go first?
Absolutely, yes, please.
Yeah, because I have a list of injuries, if I may say. Okay, so beginning from safari trips to Ranthambore, to Tadoba, to a trip to Jaipur, to a trip to Jalana for the leopards, to a trip to Iceland.
That really hurts.
Yeah, that hurts the most. Yeah, so this is my list of immediate injuries. Over to the others.
Vidur, you can go next. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I don't know where we would have been. Probably somewhere up in the mountains. We had a plan of doing Kedarnath this year because I really want to. We saw the movie and we were really taken aback by the landscape and the scenery. So we thought, why not do that? So if not that, we would have probably been in the mountains somewhere, but not a specific place, but definitely not at home. Right? We wouldn't have been at home.
Absolutely. Preethi, you can go next.
Yeah, so I had quite an ambitious collaborative web series production of my own planned for March. And everything was booked, okay? Like I had my team booked, I had my tickets done. Everything was like sorted scenes. And this happened. And then after that, I was supposed to be in Azerbaijan in April. I was supposed to spend like 3 weeks in Central Asia and then come back to there. That didn't happen. And after that, I was supposed to spend a good chunk of summer in the mountains because I really wanted to wander for some time by myself. Let's not go there.
Sorry to hear this. What about you, Diksha?
Domestic travel plans, the planned ones were to Goa, Mumbai, Lonavala, and the major cities. But I was supposed to be in Vietnam for 2 weeks in April, which again, like tickets booked, everything booked, and then this happened.
Oh man, we're all in this together. That's all I can say. Okay, let's take one last question. In one of the sessions today, this is by Gurnam Jagota. In one of the sessions today, it was pointed out that bloggers, influencers, and enablers are the real heroes and connect better as compared to a celebrity. What's your take? I personally agree with the point. Does anybody here who wants to take,
I can take that. I think all of these bloggers, influencers, enablers, celebrities are part of a larger picture. They all play their part. The audience that a blogger connects with necessarily does not resonate with the audience that a celebrity caters to. So you can't really say, in my opinion, that these are the real heroes and these aren't. I think all of them do a fantastic job. and they all do a tough job to connect with people. It's really difficult to create content and connect with someone when you're not in front of that person. So I guess everybody is doing their bit, and everybody deserves as much credit as the other person.
Absolutely. Very well said, Vidur. Is there anybody else who wants to say something about this? Or should we move on to the next segment?
I just wanted to add that perhaps the content, when people say that, somebody next door turned out to be a blogger, somebody next door is traveling as much as they could, and they see that person blogging about it, influencing other people to do that, they think that, they feel that this is more relatable as compared to celebrities, which are a smaller chunk, population. And which is why I think it is, their content is more easier to connect with.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
I wouldn't go as far as calling ourselves, heroes. But I just feel that, yes, our content can be more relatable.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. All right. So that was our content creation segment. I hope all the attendees are having a good time at session number 8, Global Travel Meet by Travel. We are going to be moving to the next segment, which is called the brand collaborations and business behavior. The first question will be directed to Diksha. Diksha, I want to know from you, because since you're, like I said, you're a lifestyle blogger, and you have a more wider palette of products that you learn, you want to endorse. I recently saw you do a Kingfisher ad, the creative, it was like an illustration, which was really cool. Then there were salons, and there's a clothing brand and stuff like that. So I want to know from you, how has there been a change in behavior of advertisers, your clients who come to you, in terms of the kind of content that they expect from you, delivery, the delivery dates, and even financially? Has there been a difference in these behaviors of these sectors as compared to before the pandemic, or has it been just the same?
Yeah, so world BC before Corona, before COVID, was absolutely different, and there absolutely has been a change. For the first couple of months, when it started sinking in that there's a pandemic, there were no collaborations at all. The brands had stopped advertising. There was no marketing happening. The world was completely shook. And when it did start again, like towards the later part of May, I realized that the brands had become more slow and thoughtful in terms of what they wanted to promote. The brands that I worked with wanted to promote the idea of hygiene and social distancing in whichever sector their products was. Sanitizers, masks flooded in. Online grocery shops started promoting contactless deliveries. Salons started promoting, safe distancing and social distancing and all of that, and how they are maintaining hygiene and wearing masks and shields and gloves from head to toe. Skincare and makeup brands came up with their hand rubs and whatnot. Even travel companies, I see, are not promoting travel for 2020 at all. And they've started coming up with platforms where they're offering major discounts for travel in 2021, where you can plan your trips now, and you can major discounts right now to book your trips and avail them whenever you want the next year. So I see that, marketing and advertising has changed, by leaps and bounds in the last 2-3 months. In terms of payments also, yes, the budgets have gone fairly down, and we can't complain because, it's the same war that all of us are battling, and, we all need to be a little empathetic and understand that this is a struggle for all the brands as much as it is for individuals. You're not really in a position to be fighting the brands over payments, but I'm glad to have had a full-time job throughout alongside my blogging career, which has given me financial stability. And hence, even though my creativity has been impacted and I haven't been able to travel at all, I am still coping well financially. So, yeah.
So have you been noticing, or have you been experiencing some kind of pressure from brands about deliveries? Or
not at all. I don't think there's any pressure, but I do see that they have stunted budgets. So, something that you would do for an X amount, now you're doing at a 25% lesser amount. And everybody is quite understanding. Like, they don't really demand you to do a professional shoot. Brands are completely okay with doing, you do a shoot with your phone because they understand. So I don't think there's a lot of pressure there. Everybody's understanding of each other.
So it's kind of like, it's very empathetic. The relationship has become a little
Absolutely.
empathetic, I would say.
Yes.
All right. So my next question is to the travel bloggers, and this is specifically for the travel bloggers because we have garnered an audience that that would only enjoy, or we as bloggers be more comfortable advertising products that are related to travel and our niche, like remotely at least related to travel. Because number one, we don't want to disappoint our our audience. Our audience doesn't want to feel out of place. Number two is that we should be able to get that many results from what we're advertising. So obviously it works both ways. So my question would be that, have you noticed a difference in the kind of proposals that have been coming to you? Have you been getting proposals, or have you been getting pitches from brands that are outside travel? That's my question number one. And secondly, how comfortable are you with this? Let's start with you, Preethi. What do you think about it?
Yeah, so you're right. I have been getting requests for collaborations from brands that are not directly related to travel, and I personally feel that it's okay because we do have a niche that we've created for ourselves, but at the end of the day, we're all people and we have distinct personalities that are not unidimensional. We do talk about a lot of other things. We do talk about things that may be related to travel in some way. Like, for example, if it is a clothing brand that's coming in, there's always a way to link it to travel, and there's always a sense of understanding as well with the community that people are not traveling right now. So as long as there is a fit with your audience and it's making sense for you to endorse a product, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking it up. And that's how I've treated any collaborations that have come my way. And thankfully, I think because there's been kind of a symbiotic relationship over here with the brand and the audience and the creator, it's been pretty seamless. So yeah, it's all right. I feel like it's perfectly fine.
Oh, lovely. What about you, Divyakshi? What's your experience been like with collaborations and brand behaviors?
So honestly, once this lockdown started, I always liked cooking, but I never got the time to cook. So I started putting stories on my Instagram, about cooking, and people said recipe please, and I'm like, I'm not a food blogger and stuff like that. So I didn't even realize that I'm kind of sending out a message to potential advertisers or brands that I might be okay in, we're talking about food products, which is not my genre. I am not an expert when it comes to food products at all. So definitely I have been approached by a lot of food brands, to which I have honestly, to be really, really honest, I've been very, very fair to them in telling them that this doesn't fit my Insta grid. It's mostly for Instagram, not for the blog. It doesn't fit because I cannot personally I put in like a lot of effort in my grid, okay? And I've talked about it in my workshop also as to, about, having a social media brand, building a niche, choosing a style and stuff. I'll be very hesitant personally to put in a food product, say, for example, there was a collaboration for vegan milk, oat milk. Now, when I'm talking about travel, my feed is all about travel. I cannot have an oatmeal popping up in my feed because they did not. And there's also a point about subtle advertisement and subtle placement, which most brands are not comfortable with. They want, let's get real. They want the product to be in the frame. And that is where it's a catch-22 situation. You really want the collaboration, but you don't want to disappoint your audience, and then it's a personal call. Are you okay with leaving it or taking it? And if you take it, I've also spoken about brand fit, like Preethi said. If it is offering a solution, like I had seen Preethi doing something for Amazon Karigar, which is really, it was a brand collaboration which she really pulled off very well. It is something that is it offering a solution to your audience? If it is offering a solution, if you are passionate about it, she's passionate about wearing sarees and she's passionate about handicrafts. So that's it. That fits her persona. So then it doesn't look out of place. But somebody like me who is like not into fitness, not actively into fitness, or have not posted about fitness, I cannot be promoting fitness the next day just because there is lack of collabs. So, well, that's my story.
So you are very strict about, even while facing the backlash and while facing a little bit of a drift or like a, slow down in brand collaborations and stuff, you would still have the courage or the mind to say no or turn down an offer.
And I've kind of removed an escape route for this. I started my workshops and webinars, so it's like, okay, I'm motivated to, if not brand collabs, they're going to come after 2 months, 3 months, but at least till then, let's get the ball rolling, through the brand, through the webinars. Of course, it's not like my only source of income, but it keeps you motivated that, okay, this is where the money is coming from, so you better get serious and be passionate about it that way.
And also your audience is also very keen on learning more, especially at this time. So you have like a very good
perfect time for learning.
You want to learn. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, Vidur, so what about you? Has Travelmynation been facing or has been getting pitched by what kind of products have been, coming to you your way in terms of collaboration?
So it's been everything that everybody just said. We also generally endorse products which are related to travel niche and products which we know will resonate with our audience. Considering the current situation, there are brands who want to reach out to everybody. So obviously non-travel brands are also reaching out to us and wanting to collaborate with them. Now, I have a different perspective, although I totally agree with sticking to your niche and being true to what your audience really wants. That's one perspective, but I also feel that, and this is what we discussed earlier, that this is the time, you have the luxury of time right now. And this is the time for you to experiment things to see what works for you, your online personality. So for me and Archana, as Travelmynation, does a beauty product work for us? And does it work for the audience who watches our content? So yes, but most of the people who follow us are from the travel domain, but everybody needs to eat food. Everybody needs that sunscreen lotion or the night cream. So we really want to see if the consumption of this content is good enough for them or not. And that will only happen if we step outside of our comfort zones and endorse such products. Typically, we don't do things like endorsing beauty products or anything which is not related to travel domain at all. But of late, we have been, because we really want to see, can we do this? Can we strike a connection between that product and our audience? And if the audience says, no, I don't want to see you promoting an electric cooker on your Instagram feed. You send me a picture of New Zealand or Spiti or whatever. For me, that's real feedback coming from the audience, and I know what not to do the next time. So right now for us, we really feel that this is the time to experiment a little bit, not go all out and endorse all kind of weird stuff. No, definitely not. Only those things which we know will add value to people looking at our content.
Absolutely. I think to collate what everybody has said, what's important on endorsing, even as a blogger or as an advertiser, as long as they are helpful, as long as they can be of some help, I think it's completely fine to, endorse these and advertise these products. So definitely, I think everybody has come down to this point itself. So in the comments, Ranjani Subramanian says, valid points, what Divyakshi says is very, very true. Ultimately, it should suit your personal beliefs and stuff. Absolutely, I completely agree to that. This marks the end of our second segment, which is the brand collaborations and behaviors. Let's take a few questions from the audience. Okay, let me just randomly, read out a question. Me and my friend visit most of the offbeat places and took pictures and posted on social media. And additionally, we don't have an idea of content creation before this session. After this, we will plan for that, and because you guys guide us to do that. Okay, well, that's not a question, but that's a feedback. Thank you so much to Pahul Tyagi.
Thank you.
And I think we are. I don't think we have any questions in related to in relation to the kind of segment that we did. Okay, so if we have any questions, I trust Kushal will sort of prompt them to us via WhatsApp or via direct. All right, so let's move on to some real talk, mental health. And now it's time to talk about really how pandemic has affected us. And I would suggest everybody to be super, candid about this conversation because we're all in this together, like I said. And we all need to know, and we all need to know that we're all, at the same point. So let's start with the first question. Question number one under this segment would be, as a blogger, fresher or experienced, most of our time goes into Instagram, and I think we could, easily say that we are kind of, especially all the panelists over here, we're a little bit addicted and a little bit obsessed with Instagram and our engagements and our comments and our likes because, yeah, obviously it matters. Having said that, Instagram is not just an entertainment and leisure platform anymore. Lately it has turned into an epicenter for a lot of social activism, and it has been a vocal medium for a lot of causes, right from CAA NRC debates to anti-EIA, justice for Dalits, voice for locals, Assam flood reliefs, feminism, and so much more. I want to know from the panelists, do you feel the pressure to have to be vocal about your 2 cents or your opinion on these issues? And do you feel the pressure and how do you handle it? Let's start with you, Vidur.
Oh, I'd be very forthcoming. Absolutely not. We don't feel the pressure for the simple fact that I know there are a lot of causes out there, a lot of people doing good work, but you cannot personally believe or support in every single cause. Similarly, for us, Archana and I are very passionate about animal rights, and we are very vocal about anything related to animals. So we constantly drive those kind of initiatives through Travelmynation, but more from our personal handles, right? Because that is something we feel that that's a personal mission for us. And we use our personal channels to drive that conversation, not majority through Travelmynation. That's one perspective. Apart from that, if there is a need of the hour, if someone requests or if someone reaches out to us, asking us to support them for something good that they're doing, we usually do it. But we don't. For example, if what happened in Kerala yesterday, for example, if that is what is trending right now, we don't jump into that bandwagon and say, okay, this is the trending social responsibility that we need to carry out. Let's do that as well. No, we don't do that.
All right, that's valid. Diksha, do you ever feel the pressure of being vocal or putting out your thoughts on a particular cause or a particular movement that is prevailing? Do you ever get a backlash from people for not saying anything, and how do you feel about it?
A lot of times, actually. So, suppose 2 or 10 times I do respond to something that is a matter of global concern or a national concern, and I put out a story on my page, or I just, talk about it. I receive a lot of backlash sometimes because I have come to realize that damned if you do, damned if you don't. You post your opinion, and there'll be people who will always, support in your thinking process, support what you're saying and what you're standing for. And then there'll always be a segment of people who will oppose it. So, I don't really succumb to such pressures about needing to post about anything and everything that's going on in the world. I think it's very, very important to be completely aware of the issue at hand before you're posting about it, because when you're in a position to influence other people, anything that comes out of your mouth might be considered as the universal truth. And you wouldn't want to influence somebody with your opinion, which is not proper knowledge, without proper knowledge. So I think whatever you're putting out there, it needs to be well researched, and because your opinion does matter to people who are following you, right? So I don't think I succumb to any pressures when it comes to posting about the concerns that are going on in the world. I don't do it for the trend of it, that people are posting about it and I need to hop onto the bandwagon and do it. Absolutely not. I will speak about things that I feel very strongly for, and I might not speak about other things that I don't feel very strongly about.
Absolutely. I think it's very important to realize the kind of power and responsibility you hold that comes with a large audience. To be able to be, to be able to connect through one platform, through one particular cause that is your niche, like travel or lifestyle, but then having differing opinions can just create so much of, unwanted backlash, and that's not even like not even wanted, and it can be really like heavy for some travel people or bloggers or even
But
and
I don't think the backlash should, restrict us from posting what we really feel strongly about. Because even though your domain might be something, your niche might be something, now that doesn't mean that your opinions will be restricted to this particular thing. Like if you're a travel blogger, you won't think travel 24/7, right? You will have opinions about politics, about food, about your parents, about family, everything. So if you feel strongly about something and you think you've researched it well, it's not a personal, issue that you're showcasing, then you shouldn't be worried about people coming. Always happen.
absolutely, that's a really valid point. So having said that, now coming to what I myself have been facing, and I would love to hear everybody's thoughts on this. Having been an Instagram I would say Instagram bloggers, since we have to shoot out so much content on Instagram, since the past 4 or 5 months, we have faced a lot of traction, a lot of, attention towards our particular blog. But now the question comes where how do we handle this and how do we entertain these people? Along with this comes a lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure to constantly have to shoot out content and constantly have to the need to entertain, and that can cause a lot of anxiety, a lot of spiraling thoughts that can sort of take you down and make you feel like probably I'm not good enough, probably I'm not doing this well. I think every single blogger, big small pressure experience, have faced this. So Preethi, since I know that your blog and your articles and even your captions has been a lot focused on mental health, mental wellness, and how your own mental journey and how you dealt with so many things. I would like to start with talking to you about how you felt and how you sort of, I'm sure you must have felt the pressure and how you dealt with it throughout the, considering that it has been 4 months now. At this point, how would you say that you're, sort of handling the pressure?
Right. So I think when the lockdown hit and when the pandemic hit, it was like having the rug pulled out right from under your feet. And as you very rightly said, it's affected literally everybody. And everyone during this entire period has been through different levels of stress, different levels of anxiety. And a lot of people who are suffering from mental health conditions have also had it really, really bad, because at the end of the day, like you said, it's a downward spiral. And it is so easy to get caught up in the so-called rat race, or to just, it's called doom scrolling, right? Like there's actually a term to it now. Like once you're on social media, you're constantly looking at one story after the other. YouTube, Netflix, all of these are designed in a way to keep you hooked. You're constantly consuming content. And it is bound to affect anyone at any point. I think initially when the whole lockdown started, it was very easy to stay very active and just be like, what, this is temporary, it's going to end. And at that point, it was a very optimistic outlook. With maybe 3 to 4 weeks into it, it was a general sense of hopelessness. There was a general sense of despair, like, when is this going to end? How is this going to end? And at different times, at different points of the lockdown, people started recovering, like everyone has a very different way of managing things, a very different form of recovery, a different form of coping. A lot of bloggers and creators started pushing out fresh content, really brand new stuff. And of course, we will, as humans, compare ourselves with them. which is literally the worst possible thing that you can do, but is also so unavoidable when all you have right now is content. So I can speak personally, only for myself over here, about how I've been coping. I think, like you said, I've been talking about mental health, anxiety, depression, therapy, all of this very, very in depth on my social media. And I think after the lockdown, even more so, because none of us are alone. We've all been through all of this. We're all going through all of this. And the only way we can possibly try to work around it, or at least what's worked for me, is sticking to yourself, being true to yourself. Because the minute you start comparing yourself with someone else, you're starting on a negative foot. You're not going to be able to come out of that, what if things don't work out? Or she's doing so much better than I am. Or I'm never going to be good enough. Instead, using that mind space to focus on why did I start? What do I stand for? What can I do better? Has really, really helped. Also, social media can be so toxic. It's like you're constantly looking at other people's work. It is a very good idea to take a break once in a while. Just disconnect. Know who you're following. If there's someone who's making you feel inadequate, or if someone is making you feel like you have to be productive in this lockdown and you're just wasting your time if you're not, you don't have to consume any of that. Be in control of who you're following. That cleanse helped me so much, I cannot tell you. And of course, taking breaks once in a while. I think we've all spoken, we've touched upon this, briefly, that just disconnecting from the whole digital space altogether is so refreshing, because you really need time to regroup with yourself. At some point, your mental health needs to take precedence, right? Content is fine, but if you're not 100%, you're not going to be able to create something good. So just taking time to regroup with yourself. There are so many things that you can do. Just delete Instagram for some time, delete Facebook for some time, just journal every day if you can, consume content that is good for you, that makes you feel good about things. Just these tiny things can subconsciously affect you so much. And of course, there is something that I've always recommended, and that is therapy. I know it's a privilege to have access to therapy, but if you do have access to therapy, then please take advantage of that, because ultimately mental health might be invisible, but it is not unimportant.
Absolutely.
In fact, it is more important.
In fact, yes, absolutely. We're getting a lot of claps for this, Preethi. And I'll even have you known that I myself am just recovering from a Instagram detox. I have just shut down Instagram for a while for the exact same reason that you just, pointed out. And, a lot of times when I was enjoying content on Instagram, now I feel threatened by it, by so many people creating so many amazing, so much of amazing content. Now I feel threatened about it. But Divyakshi, on the other hand, you have been able to maintain your, like you said, your grid. You're very particular about your grid. And for me, I have felt very deflected. I have felt like, should I go into entertainment? Should I do something else to keep my engagements up? And I've been on a roller coaster. And I've been able to sort of carve out a niche for myself now. But you, on the other hand, have been able to maintain and stick and be loyal to just, your scenic photographs and your beautiful aesthetics. How are you been able to cope up with this pressure?
So I wish I could sum up the emotions that I go through every day, or rather get my husband on board to actually clear the air and say, like, literally the number of times I've said, can I just go out? Can I just forget everything? Can I go to the road? Can I stand on the road? Things like like an absolute lunatic. But that is something that we don't show on Instagram, obviously, because that is one side, that vulnerable side that we don't want people to see. So people see cooking experiments, people see content, people see pretty grids, but people don't see, like Preethi said, the feelings, the absolute feelings. I think both your questions in this, in this section are interlinked. Yeah. Number one, when we see so much pressure around us, and 2020 has not been a kind year. It's been anything but kind. So we see so much negativity, and then you have this entire thing, there'll be somebody who will be subtly putting a message that, but you know what, you are putting cooking stories, or you are putting a dancing story, but this is happening in your country. So and then you're like, oh, so I was supposed to post about it. Now here comes this very, very pertinent question. Number one, how much of the factual information that is going around on Instagram is actually verified. Like, we base our opinion, our perception, we share a story or we share a particular piece of information. Ultimately, we as well as our audiences need to realize we are not news channels. We're
Exactly.
not here to create a sensation or clickbait or get people to, like somebody said, like I think Diksha pointed it out really well, join the bandwagon. Because people feel, oh, I have not posted about the migrants. That doesn't mean I'm not doing enough about the migrants. It's only, I think at the end of the day, it boils down to number one, how researched you are, like Diksha said, how accurate the piece of information is. Number two, how passionate are you about it? Like Vidur said, he's passionate about animal rights. Somebody else can be, very, very passionate about sustainable travel. Somebody can be for menstrual cups. Somebody can be for some other thing. So even the audience understand. So the audience also gets a hang that, oh, you know what? She is not only sharing verified resources, he or she, but they are also sharing their perception. So they are basically adding value. And you can't, if we are not robots that we can add value to each and every topic. So we have to basically choose our pick. And now coming to your second question, it's linked because of the mental struggle and the backlash which people say, like Diksha says, is real. If you do, you can't please everyone. The donkey and the man story, you cannot please everyone. At the end of the day, you've got to realize that how you count your blessings, how you return to your hobbies. I think that is something that has really, really kept me sane. Singing, dancing, reading, things like, things that I had absolutely stopped because of this continuous trip after trip, planning and this and that. So I have actually gone back to reading. And these are things which are actually, meditative. So that is making me feel that, oh yes, I have a life beyond travel. And while I said, oh, travel is everything for me, I can't sit at home, I can't even sit how I can't, it's not.
Oh, I think we're losing.
We temporarily lost her,
Did she
probably.
get stuck?
Yeah.
Oops.
So as Divyakshi was rightly saying, I think it's so important to understand or to draw a line as a fresher, and it's a journey, to understand that your life as a blogger and you are an individual separately. It is so difficult, and it's like it takes a lot of time. It takes a journey, a mental journey, to realize that this is your blogging, but this is not your life. It's just a career, just a job, and you got to take a break from that. And I think, like I was just saying, Divyakshi, since you're back, I was just validating on how true and right you were, about pointing out some really important things. And as long as broadcasting and advocating social causes and products, even for that matter, I think it's really important that we believe in those products, we believe in those causes, we have correct information, and we are very responsible about the way we are presenting them. I think all of us have summed up on those points very rightly. And I think,
Actually, I think at the end of the day, you should treat social media as the thing that it is. It was, it is, and it will always be a source of entertainment, a source of advertising and marketing, and a source for people to connect with each other. And we over there are as professionals. So it is a profession for us. Social media blogging or influencing is a profession, and we should treat it like any other profession and not let it consume us. If you go to a normal 9 to 5 IT job, would you like to stay back till like 8 and let it stress you? You wouldn't, right? So you can create good content only when you have the right headspace, the right mind space.
True.
And you need to learn to like take proper breaks as and when required and not let it consume you. It is a profession for us at the end of the day. You have to treat it as a profession and not as a personal
very
life.
rightly said, very rightly said. I think all of us agree to that. So with that, this has been an amazing session, and with that, I think we have last 4 minutes. Kushal has been a little stressful about, it's 4 minutes left and all that. So I think let's quickly talk about our favorite Instagram trends to conclude this conversation. Mine has personally been the Dalgona coffee one. I've never tried it till now, but I've seen such amazing aesthetic pictures of just this particular dish. It's fascinating. What about you, Divyakshi?
Dalgona coffee is just a fatty coffee, dude. What are you talking about? It's like healthy.
The pictures people have taken of it, the flat lays, and the amount of shooting that has been done, it's killer. I mean, I'm like, wow. What about you, Divyakshi? Which has been your favorite trend?
I think from all the bingos that were shared, because honestly, that really showed how much free time we had. The bingos and the AR filters.
Oh, yeah.
I think the AR filters also. I couldn't ever imagine in the BC era that I would actually be enjoying something as silly as an AR filter. Or celebration and all of that, but I'm really loving it. So I think, yeah, it has to be the AR filters.
What about Archana and Vidur?
Well, to be very honest, we are not very big on trends. We generally don't dive into these trends, but we did try the Dalgona coffee. Archana whipped some up, and yeah, that was that. It was never made again. It was just an experiment. Like all trends, it lasted for just that one cup of coffee. But yeah, apart from that, we really haven't tried anything else.
What about the pass the brush, pass the dish, and lots of passing challenges?
I actually really enjoyed the whole pass the brush, pass the pocha. All of that was really fun. But I'll tell you what I enjoyed more. Yeah. Some of these people like pass the jhadu pocha challenge, and I was like, I wish I was part of that. I fully relate with this. Oh my god!
All of us do.
Yeah, actually. I really love these challenges. You know, doing a handstand and then wearing your t-shirt while you're doing a handstand. And all of that. I love those challenges.
You know, there's been crazy. There's been so much that now half of them I have missed, and half of them I have somehow been able to address and see and enjoy. And then I'm like, okay, nice, like, you know, it's going on. But they come and they go like, you know, as fast as they come. And it's like,
absolutely,
it's crazy. Like every day there's a new trend, every day there's a new challenge.
That's what trends are for, right? They're not there to stay.
Yeah,
but you know, one thing
that was quite fun too.
One thing I've actually seen really nicely coming out of this whole trend thing is how communities are just banding together. Like the whole beauty community came together with Pass the Brush. The YouTube community came together with like Pass the Pocha or whatever. It's just like people are just loving each other a little more, and I think that has been very heartwarming.
That's very true. Even the Pass the Dish challenges, all the food bloggers come together and they've made all these things. And I personally love the Pass the Food challenge because like they've made these really amazing food, recipes, and it looks really like good to eat. So I personally loved the Pass the Dish challenge. If there's anybody over here,
I guess that's the real purpose of social media, is all about connecting people with common causes, and that's what these trends did.
Also, it's very important. It's very important somewhere to draw a line as well. So. Yes, so that has been our session. I think it was a really fun, informative, insightful. All the panelists have been so insightful about every single challenge, every single smile that any challenges that you faced throughout the pandemic, throughout the creative processes. It has been really difficult, and have been so candid. So I would really thank all of you for being a part of this. Thank you, Thank you, Global Travel Meet, for arranging this really special seminar. And with that, I would be concluding the session. If there's anything else anybody wants to say.
I'd like to thank everybody. Chaitrali, wonderful session. Thanks to all the other guys, Divyakshi, Diksha, and Preethi for being here, and to all the people who gave 1 hour and 8 minutes of this Saturday to us. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was real fun. I think we need more virtual events like this.
Yes.
While we miss the offline events, these virtual events are doing a very good job to keep people connected.
Yeah. Yes, and thanks so much, Chaitrali. The questions were quite interesting. It was really great kind of brainstorming on all of these together. It's always nice to get so many perspectives.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Thank you, Chaitrali. It was a wonderful session, and it was amazing connecting with all you people, knowing your stories and perspectives on different things. And we shall be available in the lobby, I think, to be able to speak to our audience. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, please shoot them right at us, and we'd be happy to answer. Thank you for staying back for so long.
Lovely. Thanks a lot. Have a great evening, everyone. We will probably be seeing You
Bye,
enter
guys.
now.
Bye.
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 Bye.